Therapy, and we lost be having you. How are we doing? How are we doing, people? Big up to everybody who's here already. Man, like Euro Football League, big up, man, big up. Big up Jamie Wayne. Big up Elite Baller. Big up Nuruddin Ineos begging bowls for loan deals, yeah? Facts. Big up Sean. How we doing, man?
Big up Nuruddin. Big up chat. Big up everyone.
Welcome to United Real Therapy, people. Yeah, Ineos making it out like they haven't got any money. I don't know if that's a tactic or if that's the truth, people.
It's the truth now. There's no money. There are rules.
Well,
We don't wanna be like Dodgy City, right? We don't want to get 115 charges.
We don't know, people. We don't know. So it's very interesting what's happening. But big up. As we speak right now, a bit of breaking news. Well, not breaking news now, but Anderson's going from Crystal Palace to Fulham. Fulham are signing Sander Burke, Emil Smith Rowe, and now they've signed Anderson from Palace, who's their direct competitors. Wow. They're not messing about.
Yeah,
They're not messing about.
I mean, it's either Palace need money or they are trying to change their style of play, and Anderson doesn't suit, the way this new manager wants to play.
Yeah.
I don't really care what Fulham are up to. I mean, generally, football is back. It feels good to have a weekend or to have had a weekend full of just nothing but football after what felt like, I don't know, months or even years without, club football. So, it's good to have things back to the way they were. But yeah, I mean, United are in the market. I think I'm just refreshing my Twitter, every 30 minutes, waiting for Fabrizio to say, "Here we go for Ugarte."
Wow. Yeah. Big up people, man. Smash a like in the house. Smash a like on the video. Yeah, we got a lot of things to talk about, Sean. We got lots of things to talk about. For me, the club's not buying a left back. That worries me. We're one injury away at this moment in time from having to play centre half as a left back or right back. A centre half to play left back or right back.
Because we have two left backs injured now.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, this is where we're at. And people are getting injured as we speak. Pick up. We have no fit left back and 4 centre backs. 2 of them are dodgy, yeah.
2 of them are not dodgy.
Well, they are dodgy. Maguire and Lindelof, they're dodgy as F.
No, I don't count Lindelof. Lindelof is on his way out of.
No, he's not. He's not. He's injured. He's not. He's injured. He's not on his way out, bro. He's injured.
He wouldn't be the first player that's sold injured.
No, but I guess what? But nobody wants him. And guess what? In January, he could sign a pre-contract with anybody outside of the UK, and he will get a massive signing on fee.
I mean, do you mind if Lindelof goes on a free contract? I don't.
No, but but the point what I'm trying to make to you is that we need to get rid of him now and get a bit of change for him. But they're not doing that. They're not doing that.
No, I mean, I think as you rightly said, it would be difficult to get rid of somebody like Lindelof who is injured. I think the club is trying to sell a couple of players. They're trying to sell. I mean, I'm a little disappointed with the fee we got for Pelistri, but I'm glad that 1, he's going to play football, and 2, we were able to get some change in for a player. I think the club wants to get rid of Lindelof and Ericsson. This transfer window as well. McTominay as well, if Napoli, is willing to pay what United is asking for. But I definitely think Lindelof is on his way out. And if our 4 centre backs this season are Martinez, Delete, Lenioro, and Maguire, I'm fine. I'm okay with that as my choices going into the season. So, I wouldn't count Lindelof as one of the players that we have because he's on his way out and he's injured anyway. He's not in our top 5 centre back because he's probably behind Johnny Evans in the pecking order. So yeah, that's not a problem position. Left back, I don't blame the club because if you ask me, I would prioritize midfield I think we really need to reinforce in the midfield over any other position right now. We need to do whatever it takes to get Ugarte across the door. I've been looking at Ugate's stats, and I've been trying to preach the gospel of Ugarte. The guy is a defensive beast. 99th percentile in tackles in every area of the pitch, in the attacking third, defensive third, midfield third. He's in the top 1% of tacklers in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Obviously, his passing stats are not the greatest, but that's not what he's here for, right? He's here to help United, or he will be here to help United sustain the press, keep the pressure on the opponents when we're pressing high up in the opponent's half, because he's such a good tackler. So yeah, that would be my focus right now. If Mazraoui and Dalot can manage, both of them can swap. One can stay on. We can keep Dalot. Big up Jarvis.
Big up.
We can keep Dalot on the left and Mazraoui on the right. But yeah, my priority right now has to be midfield. It has to be somebody to play behind Kobe Mino and Bruno. I wouldn't spend a dime on any other position before we sorted out defensive midfield.
I think you can see the title of the show. I think we need two. I think we also need a ball-playing midfield player, me personally. But we're not going to get him. But yeah, we're not going to get a left-back. The club had officially come out and said they're not going to sign a left-back, even somebody on loan. I don't want Reguilon. I don't want Ben Chilwell. That Amoso guy seemed interesting. I like players who've played under Simeone because defensively and in terms of one-to-one duels, they're really good. You have to be robust and physical to play for him. But I've not heard anything about that. In terms of the Ugarte, yeah, but we also need a ball-playing midfield player. Eriksen's not going anywhere. So Eriksen has apparently said he's happy to be part of the squad. He's happy to accept that, and he wants to go on a free next season. We're just talking about Lindelof. Lindelof is injured, Jarvis, and it was hoppling along. There was a video, I think his partner, his wife, posted. And he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
Of course, there's a video. They're forcing their way into to stay at Man United always. We can't get rid of players like Lindelof. And you heard McTominay. He refused to go to Fulham. Now people believe he will go to Napoli. Why would he go to Napoli when he refused to stay in the Premier League? Fulham, he will stay. Lindelof is staying. Shaw is staying. We have big problems, and this will take time. I've said it all along. We can't get rid of all the so-called fringe players that would, or whatever you want to call them. It will take time. So we just gotta I just want to say, buckle up and stay on for the ride, because this will take time, 3 to 5 years.
Do you think they should be doing more?
Yeah, without a doubt. If we had an offer from Fulham, 25 plus 5 for McTominay, and we refused, or we gave the McTominay the option, you want to stay with us, or you want to go to Fulham? Yeah, I'll stay. Okay. It's we should have said to him, now is your chance. If you don't go now, you won't play anyway this season.
I thought it was 20 million.
Only last year we said
I thought it was 20 million
in the long-term plans. So we forced him to go on the loan. We
for
can't
McTominay, though, right? Jarvis, I thought it was 20 million that Fulham offered for McTominay, and United is asking for 25.
No, they offered 20, and then they said 5 as well.
We were asking for 30.
30
we were asking for 30.
Yeah,
I mean that's reasonable to me for McTominay. If Arsenal can get that kind of money for Emil Smith-Rowe, I don't see any reason why McTominay, who scored more goals than most players.
Now he's 1 year left on the contract. That's why
Smith-Rowe
had 3 years left on his contract.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But I would also add that I don't think McTominay and Lindelof should be in the same category, right? I can appreciate what you're saying about Lindelof trying to, force his way into the team, but I think McTominay, Ten Hag genuinely likes McTominay. He genuinely thinks he brings something to the squad. I think McTominay is in a position where he's such a consummate professional, and I like him. I like Scott McTominay. He doesn't want to make it difficult for the club. I don't blame him for not wanting to go to
Sean. sorry for interrupting you, but
No,
yeah,
go ahead.
we
Go
all
ahead.
like McTominay. It's not
Right.
about his attitude, you know. It's about his abilities. And
Right.
you know, do you think Pep says, "Oh, I would like McTominay in my team because he's such a lovely guy"?
No,
No, he
you're
wants to
fair.
win football games, and
Like
this is what
that's
we
not
also want
all.
to do.
That's not all I'm asking, or that's not all Ten Hag will be asking of McTominay, right? So the question for McTominay as a professional is, McTominay is I think 27, 28 years old right now. So he has to ask himself, he has maybe one more big contract left in his career. Where does he want to? Where does he see himself? Where does he want to stay? Is he fine sitting on the bench playing 10 minutes at the end of a game if we're struggling? If he's fine with doing that, I'm fine with him doing that. If McTominay is fine with that, I'm fine with that. If he wants to leave, which I think is the club's position as well. If he
Hmm.
wants to leave, then fine. But Fulham, the club values him higher than 20 million, and I think they are right to do so. Even though he has a million, 1 year left on his contract, and if Napoli is genuinely interested, then let's sort something out quickly and get it over with, right? Apparently, I read that the Napoli person is in London or so trying to, make some deals for his players. So hopefully, McTominay's name is on the list and we can
Mm.
sort it out.
But Sean,
Yeah,
when it comes to our players, we know the Glazers have ruined our structure when it comes to
yeah,
contracts. He signed a 5-year deal in 2020, so his deal is up next summer. But we have a 1-year option extra, and we know if we give them the 1-year option, a lot of the players have a 50% sign-on fee. So yeah, of course, he stayed because of the money. This
yeah.
is what all of the players do. Lindelof do the same. Maguire do the same. All of them try to grab some extra money and at the same time holding us back. So I don't know. For me, I would
So
love Ineos to be more ruthless and show them the door. This is the door. Please leave. We don't want you at our club. You're not good enough. We want to win. That's the
we
problem.
would
And then now,
we would
you know,
need
I'm
space
getting
for.
impatient. I know it will take 3 to 5 years, but at the moment, I feel like we are at the end of the window and I don't see them going anywhere. You know,
But
I think they're stuck.
the question is, whose space is McTominay taking in the squad, right? And that's what it
Well,
comes down to. We need to create space for at least one midfielder. Nuruddin says two. We need to create space for Ugarte. So either McTominay goes or Ericsson goes, but we need to get both a body.
no. The Ugarte deal is because we lost Amrabat.
I think even with Amrabat going, we need to create space in midfield. I don't see the Ugarte deal happening and Ericsson and McTominay both remaining in the club. I think one of them is going to leave. Um, Also to make space for Amrabat because even when Amrabat was around, he was playing left back for the most part, and he was wallowing on the bench, not being able to get his sniff.
Mm.
Because McTominay, Casemiro, Ericsson, Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes. These are all people that are in midfield that are playing ahead of him. So that position is already congested, right? We play three people in midfield. So at any given point in time, we have Mino, Bruno, and somebody else. That person needs to be Ugarte. And then we have Ugarte and Casemiro as a substitute, as two people in that position. We need somebody to, shadow missing Mino. That can be Mount. And then
Mm.
Mount works both ways, where Mino plays and where Bruno plays as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, if Ten Hag wants to keep McTominay, right? It's Premier League. Sometimes you just need somebody who's tall and strong to put their head where nobody else will. And if we're able to get Christian Eriksen out of the club for £600,000 or for
No, he's
free,
not going. He's not going. He's going to go on a free. And by the way, Sean, let's not over sugarcoat it. The reason why Ten Hag loves McTominay because he wants him to come and try and save his job.
if
when
if it
his
was you,
Mane fails,
if it was
he's
you, so
just
wouldn't
like,
you
you know
like him?
what? Well, listen, he's just like, you know what? Get that ball in the mixer. He'll stick his toe or head or something like that on it, and get me out of jail.
Wouldn't you
So
like
at
to
the end of
have
the day, for
somebody
me,
like McTominay
there's
on your
no
side?
this season. There's going to be zero excuses for this manager, and
Mm.
you're not going to need Scott McTominay. That's why we need him to go because you can't even use McTominay to bail you out like he was doing.
I don't
last
know if
season.
I agree. I think you always need
Listen.
a Scott
That's how I
McTominay.
see it. That's my point of view. A lot of people see it like me. You see it differently. Big up
No,
King
because
Soul. Big up Soul, man. I hope you're having a great time. Big up
Big up.
Soul. Can't wait to see when you come back.
but we're not saying
Lots
that
of love.
McTominay should start now, no, right? It's the same problem with like Maguire and all those other people. I'm not saying McTominay should start. We're
No,
asking
but
should
for me,
McTominay
listen,
remain
for
a
me to
Manchester
become a
United
good
player?
team, for Manchester United
So
to get
can he
back,
sit
Sean,
on the
I'm sorry.
bench?
Sean,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sean, I'm sorry. For Manchester United to get back to where we used to be, you need to
We
have
need to raise the
better
level.
quality than Scott McTominay and
Sure.
Harry fucking Maguire on your bench. You need
That's a fair
players who
point.
are challenging the first team players. That's what you need. That's what we're gonna need to get back to where we go back to. But I want to get into this just tonight. I want to get into this. I think we need another midfielder. Ugarte, they're messing about. Jarvis, I wanted to ask you and could come to you as well, Sean. I don't know if I asked you earlier, but do you think are they messing about? First of all, first question is in terms of the outs, because we said this. I'm sure you did the show with me, Jarvis. We said we're not going to judge Ineos on buying players just for buying players. We said we're judging. If you want us to believe the club's change, Ineos is about moving players out and not youth players, because that's anybody can move youth players out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Usually, youth players are hungrier and they want to play football. That's every youth player, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, is thinking, I need to go and play football. So that's not a credit. The credit is getting rid of players on big wages, and to considering what the PR, Ineos PR BS that's out there. Varane left because his contract ran out. They didn't get him out. Varane left because his contract ran out.
Martial, the same.
Martial left because his contract ran out. Donny van de Beek was never going to come back to Manchester United. He and his agent were adamant of getting themselves a move, and they got out of there. There's zero credit in any of those. I'll talk to you. Eriksen's still here. Lindelof's still here.
I think Greenwood was a good
Sean,
deal.
1 second, man. I'll come to you. Just wait for a second. I'm asking Jarvis this question. I'll come to you your turn. So get your answer ready. Eriksen's still here. Lindelof's still here. Maguire's still here. Scott McTominay's still here. Right? Who else? Who else still here that we needed to get rid of? Well, Casemiro, because of the wages he's done. Sancho's still here.
Yeah.
So what's going on? What marks are you giving, Jarvis, for Ineos for doing the work that needs to be done?
On the outs, as you mentioned, Varane, Martial, I would say getting rid of Donny was sensible. Wan-Bissaka, I think it was time for him to leave. So in a way, they are doing.
By the way, Jarvis, Wan-Bissaka, he's been linked to go back to London. How many seasons? Last season, the season before. Yeah. So this was always going to happen, right? It was always going to happen. He apparently, you know what I mean?
Come on.
Other clubs wanted it, and plus, Erik ten Hag wanted to play a different way, right? So let's just say that. So this is the player that's been linked even before Ineos got here. How many seasons before was he linked to go back to London, either Crystal Palace or go to West Ham? It's not like only this summer.
But who finally did it? Who finally executed on the deal?
Say that again?
Who finally executed the deal? Who finally brought some money into the club and got rid of Wan-Bissaka?
Are you kidding me? We made 30 million loss on him. We made 32 million loss on him.
We've had Wan-Bissaka for about we've had Wan-Bissaka for about 5 years or so. We paid an amount of money on him.
Still young,
he's
that.
depreciated as an asset.
No, he hasn't. He's the cup. Listen, he's won the League Cup and won the FA Cup. Even though I don't rank the League Cup. And they actually had man of the match performances in both finals.
Look at the market. Look at the market.
What are you talking about?
How much are right backs going for? Who is in the market for right backs right now?
Listen, Sean,
and where does Wan-Bissaka rank in comparison to all those other defenders?
Sean, respectfully, it's a new season. I'm going to have to mute you. I asked Jarvis this question. You get your answer ready, and then I'll come to you. So you make notes, and have your answer ready. So go ahead. I'm just putting that in terms of.
If I'm going to rate
every season, he's been linked to go back to London. Yes or no, Jarvis? Even before
it's true. And we all knew when Ten Hag came in that Wan-Bissaka wasn't going to be the right player, and we saw it before the World Cup when Dalot was really cooking. Wan-Bissaka didn't have a chance to get in the team. When Dalot was injured, Wan-Bissaka, he played himself into the team and he played well. So big up for him. But he was never the right profile, and he was going to be sold eventually anyway. What's going to happen now with Man United is a lot of these players, as we mentioned, are on the last year of the contract. They will run their contract down. They will, and fair play to them. It's their right. They signed the contract, so why not? But they're holding us back, and I know they understand that the club wants to move on, and the club understand that they need to move on. But it's difficult, and how do you do it? You have to strong arm them. You have to make it really difficult for them to be here. You have to tell them every day, you're not playing next week. You're sitting on the bench. Oh, you're not even sitting on the bench. You're training with the reserves because we don't need you. You want to play football? Okay, leave. There's the door. They should be more ruthless in a way. They should try to force them out, because at the moment I see players like Lindelof, I see McTominay, even Maguire. He's good. He's really good now, but he's not the right profile in play. He's too slow and he's too clumsy. And when it comes to up against the agile, small, quick attackers, they will run around him like Speedy Gonzalez, and Maguire will fall over. We know that. We know he has problems when it comes to players like that. There's no problem for him playing against Fulham and Muniz, the big Brazilian striker. He's not a danger when it comes to pace. But Maguire has his obvious weaknesses. I love Maguire, his attitude, what he's shown us after being like almost bullied out of the club. He came back and he showed some real character. But he's not the right profile. And I say it out loud, and I mean it. We need other types. So he's a player we should try to get rid, but his contract runs down next season. Lindelof same, McTominay the same. They're staying. They're not leaving. I'm 100% sure. But I don't know if I want to slander Ineos for not getting them out. This is the Glazers' mess. It's really hard, but maybe they could have done more.
No, Jarvis, come on. We've been told these are the best football operators. Are they football operators or not, Jarvis? Because that's what we've always said. Me and you spoke on this channel, and we said the only way we know Glazonomics is gone is if we get rid of players.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, getting rid of Wan-Bissaka, who's been linked to leave Manchester United every year he's been here.
Yeah.
That's not getting rid of Glazonomics. So for me, the answer is no. Big no.
Yeah, but
That's what the answer is.
The question actually is it on Ineos? Could they have done more?
No, it is. It is. Look what Juventus are doing. Look what other
Well,
clubs
they still have Chiesa. They
out.
can't get rid of Chiesa, even though Thiago Motta has gone out publicly and said, I don't want him. I don't want him in my club.
I bet you watch
He's still there.
But watch it, Jarvis. Chiesa would want to play football. Him and his agent will come around to it. They'll go because he'll train with the kids. He will train with the kids. And him and his agent would always think, okay, we need to go somewhere, because the closer he gets to the season, you see the way Chelsea are treating Sterling.
Yeah.
They're even cowards the way they're doing it. I don't believe that. I think you should speak to the players. I genuinely think that you shouldn't disrespect somebody like Sterling.
So what are you not getting at?
My point is this: you make it blatantly clear that there is no position for you on the football pitch, that you're not your best served somewhere else. Manchester United have done it in the past, Jarvis.
Do you think it's not clear to McTominay or Lindelof where they stand?
No, it's not clear.
Manchester
United, Sean, I don't know if you know the British media, but everybody who the club is breathing, Jarvis just said to you before, everybody loves Scott McTominay. Like you said, they're not
that's
what it's.
No, but like that is a realistic assessment. No, but he doesn't need to. I don't like this new idea in football that every single footballer needs to have a specific set of technical skills. That everybody needs to be the same pattern. Maguire, McTominay. No, McTominay is who McTominay is. I don't need McTominay to be anything else. And that's what the club is saying. That Scott McTominay, you grew up here, you are a product. We want you here. If you have to go for free next year, we'll shake your hand and wish you well. But if we're going to sell you now, we're going to want to sell
One
you for
second,
nothing
Sean. One
less
second.
than
Just 1
25
second, Sean.
million pounds. And
Sean,
that's a
1
fair,
second.
I think, request.
Sean.
Sure. Yeah.
Sean, 1 second. Sean, 1 second. Andrew, jump on if you know. I've sent you the link. Jump on if you can. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I think the club's position on McTominay is reasonable. For the type of player that McTominay is, for his position in the squad. Again, if Ten Hag has his way, McTominay is not starting. He's not starting most of the games, not if any game. McTominay plays in a specific circumstance when the chips are down and we need a goal, or when we are ridden by injuries. That's what McTominay is here for. There's nothing wrong with having those type of players in the squad if they are good characters and if they are not on exorbitant wages. There's nothing wrong with McTominay. I just wanted to point that out and call out this thing. The same thing goes for Maguire as well. He's the fourth choice centre back that we have. There is Martinez, De Ligt, Lenioro, and Maguire. For Maguire to be playing, it means that one of our first choice centre backs is injured, and the backup is also unavailable. That is not a position that most clubs in the Premier League can sustain. If we're being fair, and the same thing applies to McTominay. So I think we spend an unnecessary amount of time fixated on certain players that just exist as avatars for all the things that are wrong with the club. They have dealt, I think, well this summer. I think the Greenwood deal was a good deal. Being able to get a good amount of money, I was happy to see Greenwood score over the weekend. I hope he thrives in Marseille. I think the Wan-Bissaka deal was a good piece of business. We've done some other low-key deals this summer. Camboala to Villarreal, Pelistri just today for about 6. The left back guy that we sold to Benfica. Apparently, Hannibal is also being tipped to be sold as well. There's business that we can do, but I think we have to realize what the landscape is as well. Other clubs are here. Chelsea had to recall Conor Gallagher from London and send him back. They've spent billions. The market right now is crazy. Right? Barcelona, I don't know, apparently is selling fast food delivery, to be able to make their look at the mess that's going on with Gundogan right now. The market right now is crazy. PSG themselves are actually, those guys are moving in a very disrespectful way, because the fact that they want to recoup their entire investment in Ugarte is a bad faith move on their part. So I gave Ineos, I think, a good score. I think obviously it would be good if we're able to see Scott McTominay be sold for £25 million to Napoli, go and play without Antonio Conte. Conte would love McTominay, and McTominay would love Conte, and they can be happy together in Italy, crashing into people and doing what doing what McTominay loves best. I would like to see that. I think Lindelof is also going to be sold. I think they sell injured players all the time. I think Lindelof is probably going to be sold to some mid-rate club in Greece or
No, but
Turkey
he's
or
injured. He
something.
can't be sold. That's the problem. There's only 9 days left of the window, Sean, and he will stay. In
Okay.
January he can sign for a European club for free.
As long as we sign Ugarte, that's my only, for this transfer window. The only thing that I really care about is another defensive midfielder coming in. How we make it happen, I don't care. Whether it's we sell McTominay or we sell Eriksen or whatever we need to do to make it happen. If it's loan to buy to loan to sell later, whatever, good. I would also point out, apparently I read that we have a sell-on clause, 40% on these youngsters that we've been selling so far. That seems like good business to me, right? I think part of the foundation that it looks like Ineos is trying to build again with the entire team is building a pipeline of young players that we can sell in the future. The same thing that Man City is able to do. You should expect to see the fruits of that, yield in a year or two, where we can sell some of these our young players for 20 million, 30 million pounds in the market. That would be good business. So, I mean, I think it's too early to start giving grades, necessarily on how Ineos have done, but the signs I think seem good. But bring a midfielder, please. Ugarte needs to be in by Liverpool.
Yeah. What do you think? Question to both Nordin and Sean. Do you think Ugarte will be the savior?
I wouldn't say savior, right? But I was telling you, Regine, I'm obsessed with this guy now. I've been looking at his stats, his defensive stats on FPref. He's in the 99th percentile for all the defensive stats. So tackling overall, tackling in the attacking third, tackling in the mid third, the defensive third. He's a tackling monster. And apparently what Ten Hag wants to do is use him as I don't know how to describe it, but like the buck, basically the stopper for the press essentially that we want to do. So whenever teams are trying to break out, he's the one that's going to be, help us recover the ball quickly in the opponent's half. That's the role that he's supposed to be here to play. Win the ball quickly, a great one-on-one tackler, help us keep the pressure on our opponents, recover the ball quickly and give it to Bruno or Kobe Mino, people who are better on the ball than you. That's what Ugarte is here to do, and he appears to be a specialist in that department.
But do we believe the hype, Sean? That's the thing, because most people just saw him for Uruguay this summer in the Copa America, and he didn't hardly play a game for PSG last season. We know PSG is the dominant team in France when it comes to possession, when it comes to press of the opposition team, and most of them play a low block when they play against PSG. And playing as a DM in a team like that isn't the same as playing as a DM for Man United, the number 6, because we know how we play. We play with high tempo, high risk, and a high reward. We have Bruno, who's not really good in recycling the ball. He takes all his chances, and he don't care if we lose the ball. So, and we leave a big space. We know the gap is still there. We saw it against Fulham. We had some shaky moments, especially in the beginning of the game, and
we need somebody to be able to
task for Ugarte. I think it will be a big task, and I'm not believing the hype. I need to see it with my own eyes for Man United before I start.
You're right to be skeptical, but I think if we can go into the details, what I think the difference is here is that, as you mentioned, for PSG, what they might be looking for in a defensive midfielder is somebody like João Neves, who is better on the ball than Ugarte. They want somebody who is able to distribute the ball because they have the ball, and for the most part, they are looking to break teams down. That's how it works for them in the French league. At United, I think initially Ten Hag wanted to do that with De Jong. That's why he wanted Frankie De Jong to be. But with Casemiro, we got something different. And I think he's looking for an evolution of what Casemiro brings. So he wants somebody who can. It's the high risk, high reward.
But my question for you, Sean, is: do you think Ten Hag wants Ugarte? Is that the player profile he wants, or is it Ineos who wants Ugarte in? Because I see a clash here. I think it's Ineos who wants Ugarte in. I don't think it's Ten Hag.
Does it matter necessarily? I think Ten Hag wants to win. I think Ten Hag is a smart enough person. He understands football, and I think he's having to, I guess, compromise on his initial idea and what he's coming to terms with as the Premier League and the way the Premier League needs to be played. And every manager who comes here reconciles with that in their own way. And I think Ten Hag is going through that process. And I think what they're looking for in Ugarte, again, is especially somebody whose job is to recover the ball quickly. So when we're pressing high up the pitch, if for any reason we lose the ball, or if we're in one of those 1v1 situations where we're getting pressed and Casemiro gets dribbled by, the difference is that in this case, or the gamble, the assumption is that Ugarte is not going to be dribbled by as many times as Casemiro.
But Sean, you asked me the question: does it matter if it's Ten Hag or Ineos who wants him? In a way, it do, because as we mentioned, as Noradin mentioned, we don't want any more excuses for Ten Hag. I want to give him a chance to play his type of football the way he wants to have United set up and how they will express themselves. So if Ugarte is not a Ten Hag player, but we don't know this, we're just speculating, just by the way.
Yeah.
Then we are giving Ten Hag excuses. Suddenly we hear in 6 months, oh well, Ugarte wasn't the type profile we wanted. I wanted.
That excuse doesn't exist anymore for Ten Hag now, right? I think we're all on the same page. I think the moment Ten Hag agreed to come back from his holiday in Marbella, wherever he went to, he accepted the Ineos compromise that some of his responsibilities were going to be taken away from him, and the way the club would play would be dictated from top down. So he accepted that compromise by coming back, and I think and I hope that him and the club are on the same page with respect to Ugarte. So even if in his heart of hearts, in his purest football mind, Ugarte is not his ideal number 6. He's a professional. He's paid to do a job. He's smart enough to deliver and adapt to the situation. And I think Ugarte is just what we need based on the data. So I'm not even going off hype. I'm just looking at the raw numbers of what his data appears to be. He looks like a beast, like essentially a specialist in doing one particular thing. Maybe it turns out that actually we need a defensive midfielder that's good on the ball. Maybe it turns out that that's what we need. But I think if we can, because I mean the problem is Casemiro, right? We saw in the game against Fulham, or was it? Or which other game was it that he got dribbled past like very easily? He dives into tackles, he misses, and then we get exposed, right? The promise of somebody like Ugarte is that he's in the top 1% of tacklers in the top 5 leagues in Europe. It's ridiculous, his stats, and I think the club is right to be looking for him. One man's poison is another man's juice. If Ugarte didn't find space in PSG for whatever reason, look at Havertz and Arsenal. Leaving Chelsea, there are many players like that who, for whatever reason, couldn't find. Look at Diego Forlan as a striker at United, and what people thought of him then, and what Forlan eventually turned out to be. So there are many players like that who. The same thing applies to De Ligt as well. If the club plays well, if the team plays well, all these players, you will see them play at their maximum potential. And if everybody does that, I think this season we're in for a surprise. Then again, I'm on Giddy FC, so take what I say.
Yeah. We all on Giddy FC at the moment.
Listen,
take what
Sean,
I say.
Sean, I take everything you say with the biggest pinch of this bottle full of salt. Don't you worry. I think your defense, like I already told you, I think you need to give up on your job and become the defense attorney, the defense attorney for Ineos and Eric Ten Hag. I genuinely think that. I think you should be getting paid for the level of defense that you do of these guys. So Jarvis asked the question. So I asked myself the same question. Do I give credit to Ineos for getting anybody out of the Wan-Bissaka? No. Do I give them getting what's his name out? They already sent him on 3 loans. The Uruguayan winger.
Pelestri.
So he's got to go. This is him and his agent driving this, and the fact that the Panathinaikos manager is a Uruguayan, that's been driven because he's actually starts for Uruguay. He still starts for Manchester United, but he starts for Uruguay. So that is not something I'm going to give credit. Kambala is not something I'm going to give credit because some people are like, okay, if he's going to stay, do it. But I understand why they have to do it. They have to do it for the FFP, right? So a lot of clubs are doing that, getting rid of young players for the FFP. So Kambala, so for me, in terms of getting the dead wood, the reason why, Sean, that you don't understand that we need Giza, because they're part of the failures. They're part of the last 4, 5, 6 year failures. That's what they're part of. And it was up to me. Rashford, Bruno would have been gone as well. That's me. I would have targeted those 2. They would have been out the door, and everybody else. Once you get rid of those 2, everybody would have gone, oh shit, we better go as well. That's me though. That's the difference. And my task at the beginning and once when Ineos took over, was that we were going to see this summer if Glazonomics is done out here or not. And for me, Glazonomics still stands because, as you saw in the article, I'm sure you saw the Laurie Whitwell article, that Joe Glazer is still playing a part because he's the biggest shareholder. He is. 47% of the shares are his. So the Glazonomics still stands, right? Buying players, it's not the end of it. Me, you, less so, can sign players. All you have to do is have agents' numbers and agree fee with the player. That's all you need to do. You don't need to be. Look, John, mute yourself, man. I respected you enough that I didn't interrupt you once when you were flowing, right? I'm telling you, it's a new season. We're going to do it differently. So respect the rules. The point is this. To me, anybody, you could sign anybody. All you need is the contact of the agent, speak to the player. You can do that, right? That's what you need to do. Agree with the club, boom, get the player out. Signing players, it's not. Look at Chelsea. They sign a player every fucking half an hour. He's not that difficult. And Chelsea don't have amazing masterminds of negotiators. They just have the money. They put up the money and they sign players. Well, they got 50 players, nearly 50 players in their books. The question that you asked, Jarvis, the question you asked about Ugarte.
Yeah.
No player, I've always said this, no player is the scapegoat. More than any other fan base, my observation of Manchester United, since the Glazers have been here, since Fergie's left, no other fan base in world football loves a savior and loves the scapegoat. And you know what, Jarvis? We are all guilty of it. Every single one of us is guilty of it.
100%.
Everybody's guilty of it. Because it's a set of state of mind. We can never get rid of Glazonomics because we don't have the power. We can never get rid of the Glazers because there's not enough of us to get rid of the Glazers. And we can't get rid of in terms of like what the Glazers have done by putting bankers in charge to do footballing decisions. So the three things we can never get rid of: the Glazonomics, the money part of it, the Glazers, and the people Glazers have employed. So what do? Two things left. We blame managers for everything, and we blame the players for everything. So we love a savior. And
we hype the savior coming in, Ronaldo, Cavani, Pogba,
no
you name
other
it.
Club because of the PR. Because of the PR. So that is the reason why, because of the PR. And like I always said, if Manchester United did 5% more in terms of how to run the football club, that they put 5% that they put into media, right? Not the 100%, just the 5% into getting the club in order, we would be challenging season after season. But we're not doing that. So for me, no, I don't really see it. I think Ugarte is not the savior. I think he's got the attributes. And here's where I break it down. The way that we've been playing, we're going to go into the game as well in a bit, by the way. We're going to go into the... And then I want to talk about... I can never say his name. Mamardashvili, the goalkeeper. I'll fucking take him over Onana any fucking day. But guess what? He's signed for Liverpool. The best goalkeeper who performed... The best goalkeeper. And I don't know why he's going to Liverpool because Alisson is never going to get... I don't know why they do it. Go to a club where you're going to play first team.
Maybe Slot has an idea now. You never know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Unless Alisson's being sold to somebody else. Unless Alisson's going to Real Madrid or Barcelona or something like that. I don't know. But you should get him because, honestly, he's 20 times better than fucking... I'm exaggerating. But in my eyes, Jarvis is better than fucking Onana. Sean's better than Onana. Letso's better than Onana. Any of yous are better than Onana because you don't throw balls into the fucking goal. If you're winning goal for Manchester United, you're not throwing balls into the goal. But anyway, we'll talk about that. And then I want to come to what we learned because I want to hear, you digested the game. It was all a hype. It was all the excitement. But what did you learn? And I've watched some of the aspects of the game back and I wanted to share with you tactically. So get the tactical board ready, Jarvis. Get that tactical board ready. Right. So, in terms of Ugarte, I think that in specifically the last 20 minutes, there's a reason why we need him. Because the last 20 minutes, as soon as we took off Mount, we lost the pressing energy. And we lost the composure. And then we went back to basketball to vacation. And any other time, Fulham would have scored 2 goals. It would have been good night Vienna. We would have all been having meltdowns. It wouldn't be back to life, back to reality. And by the way, that can still happen this weekend. So though we're always this close to back to life, back to reality. We're not that far. But let's go quickly. I want to go before I go to Sean. Welcome to the show. You've been patiently waiting. How are you, first of all?
I'm all good, man. Welcome to the panels as well. And what's the question? What would you like?
The question is,
answer?
Just quickly, do you think Ineos have done anything on the outs?
I think, I think they've done the
super chat, please. 1 second. Ugarte, stop signing. Who else would we sign? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in a minute because there are some other players. But let me get this. Big up Monty again as well for this other chat. Monty says, big up Nuruddin, big up Jarvis. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Go ahead. Let's
big up Monty. Big up.
No, I think they've done so far. They've done more than what I thought they would do. You know, honestly, because before they came through, I think we all had our shared doubts about them and what we would achieve under them. So so far so good. It's where we're not done yet. We still need more deadwood out, obviously, but we also need to be watchful of how many players we get out because we need squad depth anyways. As much as we don't we want everyone out, we need to be mindful as to also having enough personnel to actually complete the season. Let's not forget we can't do everything all in one season. So it's only realistically possible that we can only get rid of so many players because of the wages that obviously the Glazers have put these guys on. So naturally, we're going to struggle in that aspect of getting rid of everyone because of the high wages. But so far, they've done considerably okay, man, under the circumstances. But we can still do more. I think we should be able to do more before the transfer window closes shut. Yeah.
Sean, sorry, I'll let Sean rebuttal. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that I think the savior syndrome thing. I think, do you know where it comes from? It comes from our history. It comes from many games where somebody scored a goal at the dying minutes. It comes from fairy time. United, half of what we do is vibes. We're not the club. We are the club of faith. It's the theater of dreams, right? So we're not the club that tries to solve everything and have everything lined up, perfectly. We score a goal in the last minutes because that's just what we do. And it's aura, it's confidence, it's belief, it's hard work, it's grit, it's all these things. And that has to be a part of what we do as a club. You can't solve every problem in a technical way, right? Which is why I think, again, I'm still harping on the importance of some of these players that we have in the dressing room, the characters that are good to have around you as a team. And part of what I think, Ugarte brings to the squad, people with like that edge to them, the elite as well has it. I'm glad that the club is recruiting in that direction too. People who are willing to stand up, and be counted on the pitch. People who hate to lose. Those kind of people, we want them around and in the squad. Some of them are not going to be the best players technically. Again, not everyone needs to be that type of player. As long as these guys are not taking up unnecessary space in the squad, as long as we can free up this thing, I wouldn't rock the boat, right? I wouldn't use any unnecessarily like stern measures. I think the players for whom the club is trying to send a message, the message is clear. So, for example, Sancho didn't make the squad against Fulham. I don't expect him to be in the squad against Brighton as well, until we figure out what is going on and where we can ship him off to. The same thing applies to the players that have been sold. Clearly, a lot of these young guys like Hannibal and the likes would like to have Will Fish. Also, I think it's somebody that we just sold as well, for a cool, 5 million or so, or 3 million. The Ineos, I think, is moving, reasonably well in a difficult and complicated market. We have to give them time. The most important thing is the activity on the pitch, right? And it seems like this is a group of people who know what they're doing. My concern, my concern this season, watching everything play out, is that we might have a too many cooks in the kitchen type of problem. That's my biggest fear, because there's Sir Jim and Sir Dave and Dave Brailsford and Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox and all these people who are supposedly like really talented at their jobs, but also seem to have very important, decision-making positions. And it seems like there's a clear, hierarchy with where everything is working. I read a report about how, one of Berada's principles at City was not to spend more than 60 million on a player.
That's not true, by the
bringing
way.
some
That's
of
not
that.
true. That's not true. Statistically, that's not true.
Uh,
They bought a lot of players,
I guess.
60 million, around the 60 million mark, but they bought a lot of players for a lot more as well. They literally bought a player
Right,
for
right.
100 million and now he's on their bench and
That
nobody
is
talks
true.
about it.
Yeah,
But if
exactly.
he, listen, and also, not many people understand and know, but the Haaland deal was over
Well,
nearly
that's complete
150
fake news.
million.
Wow.
As a
Damn.
package, it was way over 100 million. I mean, his father
No,
and
yeah, I mean,
Mino Raiola and I might have
financial
got it.
engineering.
Yeah, so it's way over.
Yeah.
Mahrez was way over 60 million.
Yeah, but
So
Luis,
some of the players were
Nuruddin,
over. Some of them were
that's
around
if
50 million, 40 million, 60 million, but some of them were well over. But
if
to
we
me,
were
that's a
if we were
Samuel
Man City,
Lockers, racist Samuel Lockers with his BS, try to get closer Omar Parada BS. But anyway, go ahead.
if we were corrupt like Man City, right, we would have paid PSG, 30 million for Ugarte and paid them another 50 million under the table, basically, and call it sponsorship or something ridiculous like that. But we're not, right? And Ineos don't want to break the rules, so they try to work out this loan to buy agreement, which I think is convoluted, but maybe it gets us where we need to be. And if by loaning him we get to spend money on another player in this window, that I guess that works out well for everybody. After all.
Big up, Sean. Big up. Listen, at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But big up, Jamie Wayne making me laugh about the wedding, the Blue Moon wedding. Big up Sheikh Arian Rashid, the United Real Therapy as well. Big up for the quotes. Big up Elite Baller. Big up to everybody. Please smash the like on the video with Shadow Band. You know how it is, people. You know where we are.
Nuruddin, I do want to give a big up to Niall Snedden, who is on the show for the first time in the chat. So big up. He's been a follower on MUFC Realist TV for a long time and first time on this channel. So big up, Niall.
Big up, Niall. Big up. Welcome to the head. Here, absolutely. Okay, did you send it to me?
I sent you the tactical board on WhatsApp. So if you want to tinker with it and try some tactics.
Could you send it on here? Maybe I can try it on here. If you could send it on here.
Yeah, I can try.
Yeah, big up. You can send it on the private chat. I might be able to click onto it. Big up to everybody. Channel Shadow Band. We are where we are.
What? Jim Judas paying Sean. I wish, man. I wish Jim was paying me. Like I would be even more enthusiastic in my support. I'm optimistic. Like I said from the beginning of the season, I'm Giddy FC, but it's not because anybody's paying me. It's because in my
they need to
right
pay
now,
you though. They should pay you.
No, they should pay. They should definitely pay me. But it's because
Yeah,
in my
agreed.
office right now, there is a poster of United, right? I wake up in the morning at 4:30. It is what it is. I am doomed to be in love with this club for the rest of my life, and
No,
it's a pot.
yeah, and by the way, Sean, I'm sorry. I genuinely think that, yes, what you said is that Manchester United is a very romantic football club with last-minute winners. But the reason why we got last-minute winners because we went fully attacking. And Fergie built a great team. Fergie was the first ever Premier League manager leaving 2 against 2 at the back and going
I'm only
halfway line.
addressing your point
Most
of
people
why we
forget
like
that.
Euros.
Most people
I'm
forget
only
that.
addressing your point of why we like
Most people
Euros.
forget that.
The
No,
reason why we
but
like
what I'm saying to
Heroes
you, yeah.
is because
No,
we grew up with Heroes.
yeah, but you
Like,
made it out
Heroes are in
slightly.
our
I just
blood.
don't want, but I just don't want people to misconstrue what you're saying. Manchester
Right,
United as
yeah.
a football club was run incredibly well by Fergie. He would
Mu-
buy
in a
players,
in
he
a
would
much
change
better way.
players. He you know what? He would get younger players. I mean, look at the way he's
in
like.
the way
Jarvis will tell you.
in the way football was operating at that time,
Manchester
United were
United had
run
the
very
pick.
well.
Manchester United had the pick of all the players. Roy Keane was the best young player at that time. We bought him for British transfer. Paul Ince was the best midfielder at that time. We bought him for a record transfer. Dennis Irwin, we bought him from Oldham, right? Because he's one of the best.
We bought Gary
left-back.
Pallister from Middlesbrough on a record transfer.
You guys cannot divorce the larger economic context now, right? So at that time, the gap between United and the other clubs was much larger than it is to now in terms of financial ability and financial power.
Yeah, the point that we want to make to you though, but it's still, if Fergie was still about now, Manchester United would be run differently. He would be run differently.
It would be, but part of Fergie's reason.
And you're doing a disservice, Sean, by what you said. You're doing a disservice. Fergie made it so that Manchester United never knew when he was beaten, and we had the quality to score goals.
I'm saying that times
it wasn't just
have changed.
It wasn't just because we worked hard. It was because we had the talent and we bought the best players. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was one of the best strikers with both-footed finishers of his generation. Come out of Norway ever. He's one of the best goal scorers Norway in the nation will ever produce. And they just produce Haaland.
But
so
it's no longer possible
Sean, please,
in the Premier League now.
Sean, let's not interrupt me. Just listen to what you're saying. What you're saying was that you're making it out like Manchester United just went and got swashbuckling last minute. No, there was a reason why, because we were chasing football games because we had a set structure. Let me finish. We had a set structure. We knew how to win ugly. We knew how to win well. We knew when we needed to win. We never knew when we were beaten. All of these things was created as a culture. And since Fergie left, we've lost all of that fucking culture. And we had bankers making, and we had dickhead managers come to this fucking football club and don't have a fucking clue. That's the reason why we're failing. And because of the Glazers as well. But I wanna move past. I wanna add the tactical board here. But I want to bring Lesso in because Lesso's not had anything else to say. Big up Lesso. The goalkeeper, Mamardashvili, is gone to Liverpool. I don't know what's happening, but I would replace him with at any time with Mamardashvili with Unana.
Hundreds. But the problem is now they don't want to look like they want to override the managers in terms of the players that he wants and players that he doesn't want. So they know very well that he wants Onana still as his first choice keeper. So it wouldn't have made sense to actually bring someone of that caliber only to have him sit on the bench and never play a game for us. Onana is always still going to be here for this season, no matter what we think. It's what the manager apparently wants. So there's nothing we can really do anything about that. But it's just sad state of affairs. But like we say, we can only do this one by one. We can't really fix everything all at once. So the goalkeeping situation, I think, will be a talking point next season. I see it being another talking point. So, but for now, I think they'll just see how we do. I think we'll just scrape through the season as it is. So it is what it is. But what can we do, guys?
Yeah,
What do
big
you
up.
mean? What do you mean we'll scrape through the season? Let's see. What do you mean by that? Who's planning to scrape through the season with you?
Wow. Anyway, let's get into it. Big up to everybody. I think Sashashvili. Did you like Mamardashvili? I can't fucking say his name properly. Mamardashvili. That's his name, yeah? If I'm mistaken, Jarvis. If I'm mistaken, that's not his name.
I mean, you see the Sevilla goalkeeper.
Yeah,
Why are we talking about the
Mamardashvili.
goalkeeper now? We have the goalkeeper.
Because Unana is a donkey. It's a fucking donkey. And every time I see a goalkeeper that's more competent and it's not kicking the ball out when he's supposed to be the best football player, goalkeeper, and he's just fucking whacking it out like he did 4 or 5 times against Fulham, then I'm looking for somebody better. But let's get into it. Jarvis, do you rate Mamardashvili? Do you rate him as a goalkeeper?
I haven't seen much from him. He plays for Valencia, by the way. So I haven't seen much from Valencia.
Did you not see him in the Euros for Georgia?
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know, it's the Euros. It's a different tournament. It's a different level, you know. But he looks good.
Well, I can say the same to you about Ugarte. You can't judge Ugarte on Uruguayan.
That's basically what I was saying in the beginning. And we will see when it comes to the Premier League. I will hold my judgment. I don't believe the hype. Yeah, I will see it with my own eyes.
For me, the days of believing hype about one specific player are over. I genuinely do think we'll get into it now, actually, tactically, right? So this is how I saw the game. Everybody, let's look at our perspective. How did we see the game? So I don't know what I can do. You can see my arrow.
Yeah, I see your arrow, and you can move the players and you can move the ball. So you see you set up in a regular 4-2-3-1 formation on both teams.
Okay, so this is what I saw in the first 25 minutes. 25 minutes, Manchester United's box in terms of where is... Because we tried to play with a box, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the team that's set up there. Is the team we finished with. You see McTominay on the pitch, so we don't have Mason Mount there. So you can let's simulate Mason Mount as McTominay then.
Okay,
that's the same position.
First of all, here's where I am. Right. So Manchester United, Casemiro and Mainu. Casemiro was here. Sorry, Casemiro was here. Mainu was here. Mount and Bruno were here. And that box, the box that we talked about, the box midfield that we did, 25 minutes, they absolutely passed through us. First, I think it might have been the nerves. I put it down to the nerves. I put it down to that Fulham knew what we were going to do, and they came out and actually thought, nah, we're going to still do this. So we were still getting outnumbered by Pereira, Ugarte, and Smith Rowe. We were still getting outnumbered in midfield, right? I think we went for the high press, like the trigger points in that first 25 minutes for the press was not there to be seen. I think after 25 minutes, we played more in the box. So we took more of a control with the press as well. We pressed a bit better. So after 25 minutes, we took the control of the game. We took control of the game. We started to make chances. We started even to move up here. Look, we moved up. Number 5. Can you see 5 on here?
Yeah, that's Maguire.
So we moved Maguire. We moved Maguire here. Moved Martinez.
Yeah, you can just press the arrow on Maguire and just move him up. And you hold and you drag.
1 second. Let's see if it does. It's not working.
Just press the arrow on Maguire and move him up.
This here. Well, it's not Maguire, but
no, it's Martinez. Yeah,
Martinez. So if I take my arrow to there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it doing it? It's not doing it.
No, it's not working.
Why is it not working? Do I have to sign into it or anything like that?
Maybe. Well,
do I have to sign into it? Are you signed up to it?
Yeah, I'm
Okay, maybe I'll have to sign up to it. But anyway, if you can do it for me from there, can you do it from there?
I can do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
Just move up my screen, then we're good. If you remove your screen and move in my screen, yeah.
There we go.
There we go. There we go. Okay, now you can see me moving. You see Bruno here, you see Xerxes here, but this is actually Mount in the first half.
Yeah, so basically in the last 25 minutes of that game, we took control. Martinez and Maguire, both of them were up the pitch. Manchester United were pressing. The press was a lot the press was here a lot more. We were playing in the Fulham half. We were creating chances. I thought Mason Mount was the trigger of the press. He was the main trigger of the press, Mason Mount. And then what we did was we hemmed them in, and then that's where we reduced the chances. The brilliant pass that Casemiro did to Bruno, the other pass that Bruno did. So that's where we started to make chances. We then started to miss those chances, and we were on top till the half-time. Manchester United were on top. Second half started, it started pretty even. They came out, tried to escape out of the box. Our press, I personally believe, this is the reason why we're going to need Ugarte, and we're going to have to lose subs. The press, because the players can only press at the most 50 minutes, 55 minutes. I genuinely 100% think, because it's very new to Manchester United, the way that we've been pressing.
What we do in the press, we put a line here with 4 when they press in the 4-2-4, and we wait them out and see for trigger points. So let's say Leno passes the ball to Bassi. Bassi gets it on the wrong foot. He tries to pass it or take it two touch, 3 touch.
It's a shame you haven't got the way we started the game.
Then Mason Mount will jump in, and everybody will jump in at the same time. So this is our press play this season. We play with and the thing is, our wingers, they're not wide in our press play. We play narrow.
Narrow.
Very narrow. And like a line of 4. And we wait for the trigger points for them to do something wrong, and then move.
Yeah. So the point is that this narrow press is going to be very much tested on the weekend, because Brighton, I can't wait to do the thing for Brighton on Wednesday. Maybe to tomorrow if you're available, Jav. We're going to do the match preview for that because the Brighton were the best wide space team. They used to whip more than anybody, and we're going in to go try to play narrow. I thought Rashford, for the first time in a long time, I actually seen him running, chasing the wingers back, stopping, pressing, cutting it, staying. Sometimes, even though he's not great at pressing, him and Bruno are not great pressers, because we already know if you just run in a straight line, him and Bruno, just to show the example, they run in straight lines. Yeah. They don't run sideways. The way you press is run sideways. Rashford and Bruno run straightways. They run in straight lines, which is not good, right? But I saw Rashford try to change that a little bit, especially Jarvis going back to where the Traore was. He was getting back at Traore. He was going back to the number 7. So that was something good. But 55 minutes, 60 minutes in, the game became very open. The game then became very open. And that was the reason at 60-something minutes where we started taking off. We took off Mount, who was our press. Who was our press doing that. And one of the most fascinating tactics, Jarvis, in the first 25 minutes where we were good, at times, Casemiro was higher on the press than Bruno. And pressing, yes, he was there. And so was Manu. So the press was really up high. And soon as Mason Mount went off, because he has the most intensity, and you saw him because he's got the lungs on him, he's actually pressing one person and then sprinting across quickly to press the up. He tries to press this guy, and then quickly he shapes his body to go and press again. And then buys time for the rest of the people to squeeze the game. But 60 minutes onwards, we lost all. Kobe got tired, Casemiro got tired, Mason Mount went off, Bruno became indisciplined, and then Fulham became into the game. They made the chances. There was a couple of times Martinez and Maguire lapsed. We didn't push up as further up the pitch. We went backwards. Muniz dropped into the hole here. Traore was dropping in here. What's his name? Iwobi was running on. Yeah, Smith Rowe was finding the gaps. Iwobi was making the runs. Pereira got the passes wrong. It could have been a different game. But luckily, Maguire stopped one of them. And Pereira got the pass wrong. The other one, Martinez ran and actually cleared the ball when they came across, but they didn't move there. And then Xerxes obviously came on. Garnacho came on. And I'm going to say this thing about Xerxes, people. Maybe you don't agree or you agree. We didn't even actually trust him. He must have been on the pitch for at least 10 minutes and he only had one touch. Because what we were doing, Jarvis, and you commented on it, right, is that Garnacho went wide and Rashford went wide every time we had the ball. So anytime we had the ball, they went wide. And he is a player that likes to play in combinations. So he's dropping into areas where Lukic is, right? You know, Lukic is around their halfway line. And the players are a bit too deeper for him. And they're not like getting closer to him. So what we were doing, we went back to what we were doing last season. And what we do when the game is stretched, what we do is rush the ball from the back here and goes direct to Garnacho or direct to Rashford. And I genuinely think that when we play that, the game becomes we play into the other team because they do a lot of turnover and these two are not very good at keeping the ball. They're not good at keeping the ball. They're not very good at keeping the ball.
No. They
lose the ball a lot. They lose the ball a lot. So then we become very open to what's happening in terms of we can get counterattacked, right? But when he came on, I think he tried to get on the ball. He linked up with the midfielders. He linked up with a bit of Garnacho. He linked up with McTominay a little bit. Linked up with Bruno. He tried to link up with Garnacho. And so then what happened was that Bruno wins the ball here.
Yeah.
He drops into the halfway line, close to there. Bruno gives the ball to him. He gives it out. Casemiro joins in. Garnacho, next minute, brilliant goal and touch. Yeah. And after we scored, the players then looked at him and they started to trust him. You look at the difference, Jarvis. After he scored and before he scored, how many touches he had? When he scored, they gave the ball to him a lot more. That's how I saw it.
He earned it. Yeah, but you were mentioning that the runners like Garnacho and Rashford was running away from Xerxes, and I think that's part of the plan for Ten Hag. As I mentioned yesterday on my show, Jarvis's Corner, I think a lot of the tactics is you want to try to stretch out their defense. So every time we receive the ball, Garnacho and Rashford, they try to run in behind. So their defense needs to drop. They need to drop back. And the problem is, if you are a center back, you don't want your back line to be like this. You want it to be straight. So even though the defender like Diop is trying to be aggressive on Xerxes, he will automatically fall back in line with the rest of his back line. So it gives Xerxes a lot of space in the middle. And then we move on with players with Casemiro, with McTominay, because these guys are up here. We fill up with Masraoui, Bruno. So suddenly we have a lot of players centrally without any pressure. And we can set up triangles, we can set up squares, and suddenly we have a game plan.
But Jarvis, that all works if you have the both centre halves camping and playing in the other team's half. You can do that. You can do that. But Xerxes wants to play combination play, right? So Xerxes doesn't need Casemiro to be right next to him to give the ball out wide like he worked out for the goal. Xerxes needs to be able to play combination play with gets it back, gives it to Rashford, gets it back. And also, yes, the runs to make the space. So we understand that that's one of the basic tenets of football. If you have guys who push high and wide, that's what Man City do. But
not really doing anything. He's not a playmaker now, right?
No, he is. No, he is.
His whole role is to create space. That's what he does.
No. Xerxes.
He creates space for himself and for other players.
No. Xerxes is a playmaker. He is the player you play off. So let me make the point. He's a player you play off, and he needs. You go and watch what he was doing with the white people at Bologna. They played. They knew. They knew drivers. If he's here, where Xerxes now, the wingers there, they can play the ball to him and get it back. Right? They can. They pop it onto him and play it off him. So what I'm saying to you, if they're going out wide, we have to understand the timings and the rhythm, Jarvis. And I think through coaching, that would come. So it would be one to go high and wide, right, to create the space, and then one to come in and to play combination with him. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the combination play is only when we because this was in a way a turnover when you talk about the goal, because Bruno had the ball on the side because he had a brilliant move on the pass. I don't know if it was Martinez or Dallo who played it to him, but Bruno was surrounded by three Fulham players.
It was Martinez.
Yeah,
it was Martinez.
Yeah,
Martinez. Yeah,
but
because at that
Bruno
time
was
Martinez was
surrounded.
left back. Diego Dalot was right back by that time.
Okay.
Yeah, Diego
But
by that time,
anyway, what happened? Bruno was around and then he played the ball into the middle to Xerxes, because Xerxes was holding up the Bassi as their left center back and then moved in. But Bassi wouldn't commit and be aggressive because rest of his back line was dropping down because of Garnacho and Rashford just run. So he created a lot of space for himself, and I think that was on purpose, because we have seen it not just with Xerxes. We have seen the same when Bruno drops down and receives the ball in the false nine, and you have the runs from for example Mason Mount also running in and pressing the defenders back. So we have a lot of off the ball movement now and movement from our players to create space for the playmaker at the time. So I think we will see more of this season. I talked about it. I mentioned it when you see, for example, on the side when Diallo cuts in with the ball, you have Mason Mount coming with this diagonal run, dragging the defender out and create space for Diallo to move in. We saw the same in the friendlies with Sancho when he was cutting in. We saw the diagonal runs going out to create space for us to create chances and shoot. So I see a lot of positive movement when it comes to our attacking play this season, and I'm really happy with it, and I hope we can build on it and it be even better, because this is what you have seen, for example, with Liverpool, fantastic with the off-the-ball movements, and they come with pace and power in their attacks. So this is, I think, we are now like an hybrid of something of Klopp and Pep, and maybe a little bit of De Zerbi when it comes to this holding the ball and trapping the opposition. Because when you saw the pass from Martinez to Bruno was actually trapped, but we made the trap on them because Bruno knew how to play around them. So we are making them overcommit going forward, and then we exploit the space they leave behind.
Yeah. I genuinely do think, though, I think we've got problems. I genuinely do think this is the reason why I want to go back to, in that last 20 minutes, Jarvis, Fulham could have won the game 2-0 and it would have been back to life, back to reality.
No.
The biggest problem is this. Let me just finish. Let me just make this
if they had scored goals, would have been
let me
lucky,
make this. Sean, for fuck's sake, Sean. Let me make the point and then you can rebuttal, bro. Come on. I'll say this is simple. Basketballification of football was there to be seen, because the 12 months that Kobe's had, he's literally doing an Ericsson. It's not his fault. It's the thing what he's been through. Kobe at 60 minutes gassed out, right? Casemiro gassed out, right? Then you take Mount off the pitch, who's the main trigger for our press, and then you've got the players, Maguire and Lissandro, not moving halfway line. We're dead. The problem, what that is for me, is that we need substitutions ready. Do you remember, Jarvis, Eric Ten Hag's first season? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember how many times Fred came on as a substitution? How many times he bought on defensive players to be out the 1-0? Remember we played Leicester 1-0, Southampton 1-0. Something 4 or 5 games. He closed out the game because he realized the players we had on the pitch were out of it, gassed out. The problem for me, this is not more than any other season. If Eric Ten Hag wants to be successful, at that hour mark, when those players have hit they've hit their limits, he has to be able to see if we're getting overrun, and that if you just take where Casemiro's still going headless chicken off the pitch, right?
Overcommitting,
Then, then the gap, and how many times do it with McTominay as well, please? Do it with McTominay as well, right? All it takes is one gap, and it's exactly what we saw against Liverpool and Arsenal in the preseason. And that was the big thing I was worried about, is that once you press the first line, you get out of the first line of press on Manchester United, the gaps are there. The gaps are there to be exploited. So Ugarte,
it's because of the 3-1-6, as you always mentioned. You always talk about the 3-1-6 because basically what's happened sometimes we do something like this, but it's not basically a 3-1-6. I would call it a 3-diamond 3. This is actually what we are trying to do. But the problem is Dalot and McTominay are not good enough staying in their position. They overcommit. No. They move up, and suddenly Casemiro is alone. And then you have, I would say, what looks more like a 3-1-6. Do you understand? But I think Ten Hag is trying to play, because that's what he in Ajax he did the 3-diamond 3. So it's different, but we don't have the players to do it. They don't have the football knowledge, the smartness to understand when to go, when to hold, when to press. We overcommit. We go
that's what they're.
But also
that's what they're learning now, right?
But Jarvis, I don't think you're realizing. Casemiro can't do it for 90 minutes. Kobe can't do it for 90 minutes. We need to be able to make changes in the midfield to help and support the other players we bought on the pitch. Or they need other players to complement them so that they've got legs, so they can just stay in positions. That's the reason why Ugarte, for me personally, would be that guy as an engine towards the end of games, because he is somebody who's got he's got a third lung. He doesn't get tired easily. And it's going to be very interesting, Jarvis. From what we watched from him at Sporting Lisbon, what I've seen him in from Uruguay, what I've seen from him when the times where he's played, and I've watched him many times, but I saw the odd game with him. The game that I saw the most was when he played against Arsenal. Remember when Sporting played Arsenal in the Champions League or the Europa League? Remember they beat them? I don't know if you remember. But that game, till the last moments, the last minutes, he was everywhere, hunting that ball down. So that's it. And I think it's not just for him, but this is a chance for Collier as well. I'm a believer. Collier and him, and that's why I think Manchester United needs to sign somebody else who can bring a bit more physicality. Because 100%, Casemiro and Mainu can't do it. They can't do it. And it's proven to me that they can't. And the thing that what I'm scared of more than anything is the burnouts to come with Kobe. If Kobe's going to be played. And you know what that manager does. So that's why we need options for him to see that and think, damn, the game's getting away from me. The gaps are appearing. The basketballification of football is back. We don't want that. And how do we solve that? And that's what I believe. We need somebody else. Go ahead, Sean. Now you can rebuttal and say whatever you want. We just need to explain.
No, I mean, I just see progress generally. I think for me, if Fulham had scored, it would not have been back to life, back to reality. It would have been terrible luck. I would have been disappointed, but I would have been less disappointed than I was at the 1-0 win against Wolves last season. Because that game, we ended that game with 20-something shots against us. I think this game we had less than 10. There is clearly, to me, a difference in how we're defending and how we're pressing. The team looks more compact. I think everyone who has been clamoring for an improvement in the style of play, regardless of the results, is going to get what they've been asking for this season. And I hope I hope everyone keeps the same energy generally, because Ten Hag is going to give you what you want. I don't have any problem. I think it's clear that with what's his face, Van Nistelrooy, and Hake and Wilcox, and I was reading an article by Laurie Whitwell in the Athletic talking about the behind the scenes structure, how Ineos is working, and clearly these are people that are all professionals in their own individual roles and know what they're doing. And I think Ten Hag has the benefit of it being his third year in the Premier League, right? And we're not coming on the back of like fluke success last season. We're coming on the back of like a really bad season where all of our flaws were laid bare and for everybody to see. I think we can only go upwards. I'm feeling very confident for this season, and I hope to infect everyone else, with that confidence by the end of not just this show but generally this season. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to the game against Brighton. I think the interesting question for Ten Hag is if Delete is going to start or if he's going to, stick with Maguire, and if Xerxes is going to play or if he's going to stick with, Mason Mount and Bruno as their false nine combo. Because it was funny when Eugene was talking about Mason Mount, and it seemed like you were suggesting that Ten Hag made the wrong decisions, right? And it was kind of funny because I don't know if you're suggesting that Mason Mount is a starter now, because
no, 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 no.
I've heard that critique a lot of Ten Hag's decisions during that game for taking off Mason Mount.
Because he was
Whereas
our trigger press. It was clearly to see. Drivers will tell you if you watch the game tactically. As soon as he went off, we
no,
lost.
I agree with you.
Mason, listen to me. Bruno's headless. He doesn't know how to press. Mason Mount knows how to press. It's almost kind of like he's holding their hands. Mason Mount's teaching Bruno and Marcus Rashford how to fucking
Don't get
press,
me wrong.
right? Listen,
I agree
how to
with
press
you, but
in terms
I
of the
think
dynamics. But to me, the reason why
what I'm
it wasn't.
highlighting.
Let me answer the
No,
question.
I know
Let
already.
me
You
answer
asked
the
me now.
Sean,
You
let
asked
me
me the
answer the question.
now.
Sean,
Okay,
let me
okay
answer the
now.
question.
Right.
You said
Okay,
something
no
about
problem.
Mason Mount, so let me answer the fucking question.
No, I didn't finish, but
Let me
sure.
answer the fucking question.
Go
Right?
on. Yeah.
It's not just that Mason Mount went off. As I said specifically, I don't know if you didn't hear it, Casemiro and Manu both got fucking tired. Because you're asking what you're demanding of the two midfield players, the ones who are a bit lower, should be lower, you are asking them to cover a ground, a 50 yards space. Or that's what you were asking them in terms of putting pressure on them and squeezing it. They got tired. That happens. How many times have you watched a football? Classic example is Liverpool against Ipswich. Ipswich came out, pressed the hell out of Liverpool. Did not give them. But in football, to play at that intense pressing level, you have to have some remarkable fitness. The peak of Jurgen Klopp Liverpool, right? And they actually used to press the shit out of you, go 2 or 3-0 up, and then sit back. They used to do that. And they used to hit the long diags to Salah or Mane, right? That's what they used to do. But so it wasn't just Mason Mount. I'm not just saying it was Mason Mount gone off. No, it's a combination of Mason Mount going off and the fact that Kobe and Casemiro both got tired. And we didn't have any reinforcements in midfield to change it. And I gave the specific fucking example of Fred. And that's why I'm bringing Xerxes' name into it. Because Fred was the guy in so many games we've watched when his first season, when games that needed to be closed out, Fred was the pressing monster who was winning the ball up the pitch, getting fouls, doing all of that for us. And that's what I'm talking about tactically.
All I'm highlighting is a difficult question for Ten Hag, right? Because if Mason Mount gets us the best pressing outcome, he doesn't suit the team in other ways, right? So he's not a striker. He's not the person we want leading the line. We're gonna have to eventually, bring on Joshua Xerxes for him or Højlund for him in the 70th minute when most likely Casemiro and Kobe Mino will be tired. So I'm just highlighting what I think is a difficult tactical question for Ten Hag to answer. When you have your best pressing outcome comes from you having to sacrifice an attacking option in Hoyland or Xerxes. Because it looks like the best way to press is if Mason Mount is leading the line. But if you do that, then you're playing a false nine system that you then give up what you get in terms of a goal scoring threat with Xerxes and Hoyland because Bruno is not going to be benched. So I mean, I want to highlight the Mount thing because I don't think it's as important as the overall build-up play with Martinez and Delete and Onana, and the pressing movement, the way the wing back inverts. Because I think that's the critical aspect of it. So that foundation of having options, that's what Ten Hag wants the wing backs to do. Give the centre backs an option in midfield to play with. Give your teammates in midfield an option by drifting, by inverting to the center. That's what he wants essentially them to do. The pressing as well, right? It's really everybody needs to be locked. Everybody needs to be locked in. So I think Ten Hag has like I said, two difficult questions to answer against Brighton. Do you start the late over Maguire? And do you bring in Xerxes for missing Mount, knowing full well, as we've all admitted, that missing Mount is the best presser we have in the squad?
Big up, Khalees from Medina, Chief of United Real Therapy. Big up to Rashid, Khalees Rashid as well. But yeah, congratulations to Man U women's midfielder Grace Clinton on winning the PA for Young Player of the Year. Yeah, well, amazing for her. I think it was a fucking disgrace that they cancelled this year's at the end of the season party. The women's team did well. They won a fucking FA Cup. They didn't finish fucking 8th. The majority of their players have been sold, so they should have had their fucking party. They should have celebrated the FA Cup win. Historical win, by the way. And now they're being kicked out of what? So the way they've been treated is a fucking disgrace by Ineos. And nobody can fucking tell me anything otherwise. But big up. I genuinely do think, Lesso, what you think about tactically what we discussed about, specifically about the midfield, and especially about reinforcements. Do you agree or disagree? Do you think that Casemiro still had legs towards the end of the game? Do you think Kobe? Do you think I'm exaggerating about the tiredness, the combination taking Mount off? Because he's the best presser we have in our team. He's literally got the legs to get around the football pitch. Or do you think he needs to do more? 100% Mason Mount. If he's going to be a starter, it's not what you do with the press. You do what you do with your fucking when you got the ball as well. By the way, but he was going down a bit too easy for my liking. But what do you think, Leto, in terms of the tactics and what happened in the last 20 minutes, last 25 minutes of the game, where we could have lost the game?
Is there room for Mason Mount to start in your ideal Manchester United?
No, for me, it's simple. Bruno will be taking off Xerxes' place, but that's just me. But go ahead, Lesso.
Yeah. Like in the last show, I think the match reaction show, we did touch on this point. I personally said that we needed 2 midfielders as a result, so that Kobe Mino and Casemiro can get a rest and rotate. Get rotation from those 2 players because you need depth. This is going to be a long season. I think people forget this. They just see one game and then they think everyone can play out throughout the whole season. They forget that we had situations last season with injuries and everything. So you have to account for such things. And for us to avoid such an obvious thing that's headed in our direction, is to make sure that we have depth, and depth is very important to get through a season and efficiently, because we don't want to sit here and say we haven't done this or done that because we don't have enough players on the bench, or we don't have depth, or there's injuries. The reason why there's depth is to counteract the whole injury problem. So we need to make sure that we solve that in midfield. We're very we're very light in midfield, so especially with Scott McTominay and even Eriksen leaving. So it's 2 players that are going to leave now. So we need to add 2. That makes absolutely sense if we add 2. I think we will add 2. I think there's rumors of us actually adding 2 midfielders. And yes, towards the end, you saw Casemiro and Kobe Mino gasping for air. So it's a situation that obviously we need to resolve, and hopefully we resolve it in the next the next week or so, because the transfer window is about to be shut. So yeah, I'm just hoping that they do that, because otherwise we're in trouble. You can't bypass the midfield. You can't play cheat code there. So yeah.
Well, basically, I don't think Eriksen's going. I'll be shocked if Manchester United got 5 million from Ajax. Ajax have a board that will never buy a player that age for 5 million, or even sign player that age. So I think it's a lot of waffle. I don't know what. I'll be shocked, and I'll give the most credit if Eriksen's moved on to Ajax, and Ajax must have fundamentally ripped up their book and their football
I might say right
in terms of in a way to sign players. But yeah, Jarvis, is there something to worry about? What I'm talking about tactically? Did you see that last 20 minutes we lost control of the game?
Yeah, I did. But it goes to personnel for me. I think the game plan is okay. What we lack a little bit is people who can take control of the tempo of the game, take the ball down, be a little bit more composed. Because when we get players like McTominay on the pitch, when you have a gassed out Casemiro on the pitch, Bruno starting to be anxious because we need a goal, and he's giving everything in every pass and every run and every tackle, and Bruno. And of course we have obviously we have Rashford on, and even Garnacho. They have a mission, and when they go to default mode and forget what the coach tell them to do, they start running forward, always forward. And this is why it was so refreshing to see Xerxes coming on, because he was actually composed. He took control over the game, he took control over the ball, and he gave us a little bit of breathing space in key moments, and it actually made us win the game. So I think Xerxes is a fantastic strengthening to our squad, but I would like to have a player like I see Sonny comes in the chat and say exactly we need Berge. But for me, I would like Sander Berge, but someone who can take care of the ball. I think Eriksen will probably play more when he comes into form again, because I think Eriksen is one of those types who can come on the last 10-15 minutes and take control of the tempo of the game, slow it a little bit down, because it's too much kick and run, it's too much rushing the attack. We are forcing the play, trying to create. We don't go with the flow of the game. So this is a big problem. So I would like us to have signed a ball playing midfielder, and that's why I'm a little bit skeptical also to Ugarte, because I'm not sure what type of passes he gives. Do he tries the long ball, or will he take down the ball and carry the ball a little bit and give us a little bit of breathing space? As we, for example, saw in the FA Cup final, every time Mainu and Amrabat received the ball, they took the ball and carried it out to the sides to give us a little bit of breathing space, took it out of the way of the pressure, away from, so we had time to establish the other players around and get into position. So, but every time if you try to rush it, we get the back and forward basketballification of the game. So for me, we need more ballers, and we're not a complete squad yet.
No, by any far. I genuinely do think the way that Erik ten Hag wants to play, it is impossible for a burnt-out Kobe Mainu and Grandad Casinap to be able to play. You're always going to go into basketballification of football. And in terms of the last 20 minutes, if we already scored, the game is different. Naturally, we would drop back to mid block, hit them on the counter with Garnacho and Rashford.
Yeah, that's where we want to be.
Listen, there is more. But in the fact that the risk is in games, Jarvis, Sean, and Lesso, is that when we don't score the goals, because we were dominant and fully in control for 25 minutes solid, we played in their half, we squeezed the game, we made the chances, and fucking Bruno missed, right? He missed them.
He did.
Right? The game is 2-0. The game's completely different. Because, to me, the basketballification does it, because naturally we can go to mid-block, and then use the two wide guys as tactically. It's a different kind of mindset because we got a lead to protect. But as long as it stays 0-0, the kamikaze basketball dedication football, we can always lose the fucking game. Always lose the game. Napimero, big up, please. Casinap is a nice name. So Casinap sounds like a medicine that you take anyway. But Napimero, Napimero, that's it. It's thick now. Big up. That's credited to Shakarian. To me, you need, if you're going to play the way that Eric Ten Hag, because Eric Ten Hag at times is asking Manchester United to play man against man. And we will find out because this 10 players against 10 players, outfield players, the better teams will be able to do us because they are better in terms of tactics and they've got better ball playing players in midfield who can keep the ball and maneuver it and be more press resistant than Casemiro, and especially Casemiro. He's not press resistant. He loses the ball at times. Even though I think he did have a fantastic game, he got tired up to 60 minutes. He got fucking shattered, and he's not a player. Mark my fucking words, people. He's not a player that's going to be able to do it week in, week out. Casemiro can only play one game a week. And at this moment in time, because of the amount of football he has played, Kobe Mainoo is the fucking same. They can only both play one game a week. So get ready for going to away trips in the Europa League to Pakistan, Uzbekistan, and wherever place we're going, right? Cyprus and that, where they're going to be bent out. So that is going to happen, people. Big up Sean, by the way. But that's what's going to happen. So this is an idea for me. And we will be testing it tomorrow night, tactically, with, let's see, Jarvis. Tomorrow we'll be looking at a tactical board. But yeah, in terms of how we're going to do it, how we're going to be able to get past Brighton, because that is a huge test. And the longer it stays 0-0, Manchester United, for me, have to score in the first 25 minutes, the first half, get a lead. Because past the hour, we will find out. We will get punished like they punished Everton. Bless Everton. Everton had chances. Don't get it twisted. Everton made chances in the first couple of minutes. And then what happened? Napoli have asked conditional Sophie Amrabat deal. One separate option for the midfield. Scott McTominay deal remains also positive for Napoli. Manchester United keep asking for 30 million package. Wow. So do you see that now? Two clubs that are supposedly after Scott McTominay. One of them's gone for Sander Berg, what Man United will link with. And now Napoli are going for Amrabat, which is a cheaper option than Scott McTominay. So Jarvis said Scott McTominay is here to fucking stay.
Yeah, he will.
He's not
100%.
going anywhere.
He's not going.
Anywhere.
I will be very surprised if he leaves, but you know he refused the Fulham deal. I just want to say one thing. You mentioned Casemiro in the single pivot sometimes, and Casemiro was the player with most blocks in the first round of Premier League.
Yes,
most blocks.
Yes.
So it tells you a little bit about his. I would say he comes in with emergency break and slides and blocks the ball and stops the opposition to counterattack us. And he did it 5 times or 6 times. I think. The play with most blocks.
But he did it. But still, for 20 minutes in the game, Jarvis, it was chaos FC. And if we played better, if that's Liverpool and Brighton, and they had that amount of space, 3 against 2,
and better
4
quality,
against 3, we're dead. The ball, Unana, the breakdancer, Butterfingers, is picking the ball out of the area. So you could say that for some periods of the game, Casemiro can do it, Jarvis. But he can't do it for 90 minutes. He can't by himself. He cannot do it. It's too open, and he cannot do it. And we'll get punished.
But we had the most high recoveries in the first round of Premier League too. 58 in 90 minutes. That's a high number.
But Jarvis, we did it mainly because you knew it. We took full control of Fulham. They had the control. They were passing through us without really causing us any problems. But they took control in the first 25 minutes. They were passing it, popping it about, You know what I mean? For 25 minutes, we played. At times, Maguire and Martinez were 50 yards, 40 yards away from their goal. We hemmed them in, created the chances, turned over numerous times of the ball, created the chances. We didn't take them.
Yeah.
The last 20 minutes, Jarvis, it was still 0-0. 25 minutes. And they were in the fucking game. Better quality were getting murdered. My words. Brighton will dismantle us. Forget what City, what Liverpool, what fucking City and Arsenal are going to do to us. Villa will dismantle us. Spurs will dismantle us. Even though they had their own problems last night when they got absolutely bullied in the second half. The physicality and the aggression from Leicester, the game plan went out the window. They didn't know what to do. And then he made 3-4 changes and then they couldn't develop the rhythm anymore. But the first half, what Spurs did, they should have been 3-4-0 up.
Yeah, Spurs looks impressive in times, but I think they will experience a little bit of a burnout this season too because of Postecoglou. You know, he demands too much of his players. I don't think they have strength enough to keep on going with this high intensity. And you saw Brighton after the first season with this high intensity press. Sometimes they collapsed, and same with us with Ten Hag. And yeah, so
yeah.
I'm not worried about Spurs. I don't think they will perform for 38 games.
I looked at their bench, Jarvis, and I thought, they're not. To me, the first team, if they don't win, if they're not, the first half an hour or 20 first 45 minutes when they were so dominant, if they're not 2-3-0 up, then after that, the bench, what they've got that Swedish, highly talented Swedish midfielder.
The young
They're
kid,
going to grow into this. I mean, it was the first game to come on. It wasn't an easy game to come on to. But if Spurs were winning 2 or 3-0, it would be easier for them to come and manage it. But yeah, one thing I do like about Ange, whether you're the big players, you're coming off the pitch. That's one thing I like about him. He's keeping the players in good condition by taking them off when they think that he needs to change it. But big up to you, Jarvis. Big up to you. We will see. But yeah, tomorrow night, Jarvis, we'll look at that. I'm going to try logging, just stay there anyway after we log off because I'm going to try to log in. I can't find a way to log into this tactical board. But yeah, big up people. Yeah, Mamardashvili, I would have took him from Liverpool. I don't know why he's going to Liverpool. He's too good of a goalkeeper to be on the bench at Liverpool. McTominay looks like he's staying, and I said it. Big up to what's his name? Big up to, it might have been Irfan, or somebody was saying that I called it a weeks ago. I did say that I don't think he's going anywhere, and I have to believe it. Here it is. I have to see it in holding up a shirt for him to get other things for me to be able to say, yeah, Scott McTominay is gone. But I actually think for his sake he should go because he's good enough to play for a mid-table team, to play football, first team football, and not just be a guy that Ten Hag thinks is going to save his job. I don't want no excuses. I want you to fucking coach the squad to play your football. So when your Kobe gets gassed out, Casemiro gets gassed out, you bring on other players that you've coached to do exactly similar job, to give the intensity and the aggression and the high press to be able to play your football. But yeah, Madison was asking me before, am I worried about Brighton? Yeah, hell yes. Fucking hell yes.
Yeah.
They're not Fulham. They will destroy us. They can finish. And they were the team, Jarvis, that kept the most width in the Premier League this season. They kept the most width. It's going to be interesting. Masraoui starts again. That's going to be a real test. Real fucking test. And then the game after that against Liverpool will be even more of a real test because you'll come up against one of the most trickiest wingers in world football, Diaz. So I thought he was fantastic for me, Jarvis. We didn't get to speak about him, but I thought it looks like he's been there for years. The positions that he was taking up, I just wish and pray, inshallah, he will stay fit
Stay fit. Yeah, stay fit.
Yeah. But it was levels. The levels what he gave us, it was incredible. The way when to come inside, when to go outside, when to go up, like the decision making and the rhythm of his game was.
I agree. He was fantastic, and I think
I
that's
actually
why.
think he was our man of the match. I personally believe.
But I would say, Nordin, when it comes to this, we have been linked to this guy, Kadioglu, and he's kind of similar. He's a natural athlete. He's very good on the ball. He's two-footed.
Yeah.
To be 100%
I would
honest,
like him.
I don't think Dallo is good enough when it
No,
comes
he's
to
not.
this. I think we will see a different level if we bring in, let's say, a left back like Kadioglu. Not hating on Dallo, I think he's a good player, but he don't have the what you're mentioning, the smartness, how to move inside, outside. I think Masraoui proved to us what a decent fullback looked like.
Yeah, big up. Last word of the show from you, bro. Before we let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat if you want more of the tactics to be talked about. Let us know more in the chat. But Lefto, go ahead. Last comment from you on the show.
No, I actually agree with Jarvis in terms of that signing. That will be a game changer, honestly. And it's one of those I think you should not be missing out on. You know, he's one of those players I think he joins Brighton, and then Brighton sells him for like 70 or 80 million in the next whatever. So that's the kind of signings we should be actually trying to make. Apparently, that's what we should be doing under Ineos. So I should be expecting this club to be looking at someone like that, because I mean at the left back position we're very thin. You know, already Luke Shaw is not gonna. We all know Luke Shaw's injury record. Malaysia, the last I say, the better. So again, we've got Delo, who's playing out of position, who's not the best. That is not the best right back at the moment as well. So you know, on the makeshift position now, people are talking about Harry Amos needs to be starting games. You can't be doing that to young players. You need
I think you should be given a chance. But go ahead. You don't agree, but go ahead.
Yeah, he definitely should get a chance, but I think we shouldn't be, you know, throwing in players as starters. You know, if you look at the left back position, the way it's gonna be very thin, you know, he may end up having to be the starter instead of a stopgap or a backup. So just to avoid all of that, all those problems, I think we need to bring in someone in that left back position. It's very crucial, especially if we want to attack the way we want to attack and want to bring the balance in both attacking wing backs. That's the most. It's been pivotal for Tanaka at Ajax as well. So let's not forget that he had good fullbacks. So on both sides, I think if we can get that done, we get in one midfielder. I think we're good. We're good to go for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we have Collier in the reserve, so we can put in Toby Collier. I think it's good enough. I just want to say, the other day you asked when you had Saeed and Mina on, Nordin. You asked them a question: what do we do if our right back gets injured? Because both of them said we don't need a left back. But that's a really good question, and it worries me because we have Masraoui, we know his injury record, and we have Dallo, who was played a lot last season. I think we could face a fullback crisis this season too if we don't do anything before the window ends. And I don't want to do this. I don't want to meet up every time with the center back as fullback or a winger as fullback. You know, it's going to be difficult. Because we saw Masraoui last against Fulham how important a modern fullback is in the game. No, you're on mute.
100% agree. 100% agree. So that's I'm asking that question to every United fan, even when I'm on the street. Like, if one of them gets injured, what are we going to do? Are we going to have a centre half playing right back? Is that what we're going to have? What are we going to do? So it's still the same, and the fact that the club don't think it's worth getting a left back, it's surreal for me. Remember at the beginning of the transfer, what the statement they were giving out, they said left back is at the utmost importance. Remember, Jarvis? So it's what it is. But listen, let us know in the chat what you think, guys. Do you think we can wait for Luke Shaw Apparently, Ten Hag said Luke Shaw is not that far away, so we don't need to go and get a left back. Boy, oh boy. If things get toxic, we start losing games at Ten Hag's gone by November. Replaced by, Ruth van Nistelrooy. Yeah, facts. I think the facts are there. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But people, we'll be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock with Saeed. We're going to be doing a match preview to Brighton on Saturday. And I'll be doing a watch along with Saeed on as well at 12:30 on Saturday. Big up Jarvis.
Yeah, I just want to say to Dave, it's not about attacking fullbacks; it's about balancing fullbacks.
Yeah.
Balancing the squad.
No, fullbacks have become so important, Dave. Big up, Dave. That they actually help you overload more players in the midfield positions. And if you looked at Masraoui, one of the most impressive things was he knew when to go in and support the midfield. And Mount watched the positioning times where he won the ball. He won it at around the halfway line or just over the halfway line. And he was actually backing up the press, winning the ball. It's not the typical fullback that we knew, Dav, where you used to just go one-on-one and defend. No, when you're on the ball, when you are counter-pressing, they need to know when to go in, when to come inside, when to go out, when to do it. And I thought his rhythm was incredible. Honestly, it was, and timing as everything in football, rhythm, the game to the rhythm. His game rhythm was fantastic. It was one of the best I've ever seen for a debut. I've never seen a debut like that. That's why I gave him man of the match from me. I was like, I've seen Casemiro do this, but he got started after 60 minutes. You know what I mean? I thought Kobe was brilliant in that first 25 minutes, the second 25 minutes of that first half when we were dominant. But it is what it is. But big up to everybody. Matoma is going to... They're waiting for us. They're waiting for us, people. Big up. Tomorrow, join us. Love and Light. We'll give you a 2-hour show. There you go. Let us know in the police. Do you think that we should have signed the goalkeeper? Do you want Onana? Do you rate Onana? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think that we can need more than Ugarte? Do you agree with Jarvis, me, less so? Or do you agree with Sean? Do you think that we need to protect Kobe from injuries? Let us know. Do you think that you agree with me that we gassed out and the game was open and against better opposition we'll get absolutely hurt? Or do you think, no, we're going to be fine? Let us know. Big up. But let's go. Make sure you check Sean out at Sean Thomas. And the podcast is How We See Things across all your podcast providers. Jarvis Bowley, BOLE77. Jarvis Corner, Mondays at 9 o'clock on Man UFC Realist TV. Check that out with Stu. Let's So TV. Make sure you check out Black Rain at Black Rain on Twitter. Big up to everybody. Make sure you check out at Khalees Ramadine Lassie at Khalees Ramadine Lassie. Right? That's why you need to check out Khalees. And make sure you check out Sheikh Orion as well. And big up to Khalees. Love and light, people. Look after yourselves. Please, those of you, the channel is still shadow banned. The channel is still not, notifications are still not on for people to know we're live. So please like the video. The biggest thing you could do to help the video is like the video. It costs you absolutely nothing. Those of you are watching later. And we end up with saying, here we go. Free Palestine, free Congo, free Sudan, and fuck off Zionists. Yes. There you go. I don't even have to say it anymore. F the FBI as well, man. Big up Nuruddin, it says, and the panel shouldn't be shadow banned. Fucking disgusting. Yes, Jamie Wayne, it is what it is, isn't it? Big up to everybody. Love and light. Free Palestine. Jarvis, less so. Big up Sean. Brilliant show. Appreciated it. Really enjoyed it. Peace. Love. Light. Always stand with the oppressed. Stand against the oppressor. Freedom. Freedom. Liberation for everybody. Good night.
Right.
Night, everyone.
Free Manchester United. Yeah, from the fucking Glazers, 100%. Good night, people.